School. We all have to go and most of us hate it.
You ever wonder why most people hate school? Now, it's probably not for all the reasons you expect. For example, yeah, most people hate it because of homework, you don't actually have to doing stuff, but there are a few other reasons we're going to get into today. You ever wake up on a Tuesday morning and getting ready for school, you remember that you have a history test that day. Now, most people just go along with it, but why is this? Why support a failing system? See, in this video, you will see why standardized coursing and standardized testing doesn't really help its students at all. So, getting into this, let's look at their defense. However strong you can defend your stance, there's always a chance that their defense is stronger and you're just kind of out of luck at that position. Well, it's a really good thing then their defense is not good at all. See, the best answer I could find is that it's a baseline, so people in Hawaii will be tested and graded the same as places like New Hampshire, New York, California, Colorado, everywhere. And that sounds good on paper, but you run into a huge problem being that not every place needs the same kind of help. The big issue with standardized testing is it's just that, standardized. Yeah, I know, idiot, we know how to use words. But you see, as we went over, not every place needs the same kind of help. See, the issue with standardizing something is that it causes the people who might need to learn different things to protect their area, they just can't learn that. For example, let's look at Los Angeles with around 4 million people, give or take. They do not need the same things as, let's look at somewhere random, Castline, Maine, with around 1,000 people. See, because of how we structure our system, the people from these areas get pretty much the same education, which, in course, sounds great. If I live in a little town in Maine, I want to know I'm getting the same education as somewhere in Los Angeles. But that's actually not a good thing like you would think it is. See, because we're getting the same education, I'm having to learn things that aren't as important to me, but are super important to them. They're learning things that are important to people in the middle of Nebraska. Nobody wins in this situation, because let's, for example, taxing. See, the USA has this thing called a progressive tax system. Now, what does this mean? Well, basically means if you have more income, you get taxed more. So that's unfair, right? Well, really it's not. Let's imagine everyone was taxed the same percentage, and let's say everyone was taxed a good 40%. Okay, so to the people really, really high up, in like the top one, the elites, that is amazing. They're paying like nothing. But to like people who can barely make it as is, who get earned so much lower, that standardization might just cost them their livelihood. So standardizing taxes would end in crippling amount of debt for most people because they'd have to take out loans to maybe even feed their family. See, the way it works is the USA needs this amount of money to be functional, so they take more money from people who can afford it and less money from people who can't. Which, in the end, while some people will go, oh, I don't like how I have to pay more than most people, those people couldn't pay taxes because they just don't make enough. And what they do pay is a good chunk of their salary still. I mean, what? I know a lot of people who will have to pay a good 30% in taxes who don't make pretty much any money. See, I hope that example, however sad, gives you an understanding that standardization just doesn't work because everybody needs different things. Okay, so their defense sucks. Now, how's ours? Now, one of the biggest issues I see, well, actually, there's two of them. Number one, equality over equity, or equity over equality, however you want to do it. See, equality is when everyone gets the same thing, while equity is when everyone gets what they need. For example, let's say there's 3 students, one of them can't read well, and 2 of them can. So if all 3 of them get the exact same amount of teacher help, then the 2 who can read are going to excel, while the one who can't read well, they're not going to do as well. But let's say instead we do on how the kid who can't read well gets more help. They're going to excel, the other 2 kids are going to excel, everyone excels. Equity usually is better than equality. There are very few circumstances it's not, and then memory over intelligence. You see, the schooling system really favors memory over intelligence, in the ways of, especially in standardized testing, standardized courses. For example, let's say history test. Every history test is you just memorizing stuff. And this isn't me hating on history, and I'm saying history is such a bad subject. History is my favorite subject. I love history, but even I can admit how it falters in some places. Now, personally, do I think we need to learn history? Yes, but I think there are better ways to do it. The thing is, even if there's not a better way, not every profession you need to have every single little thing ever memorized. The thing is,
example,
even if
let's
there's not
look
a
at
better
trash
way, not
truck
every
drivers.
profession you need to have every
See,
single
here
little
in
thing ever
Ohio,
memorized.
trash truck drivers can make around $18 to $30 per hour, and if, let's say, just a bus driver themselves, they can make around 10 to 30 also. So that is a good chunk of money for not at all needing to go to college. See, the average trash truck driver earns around $40,000 a year, and, that is really, really good for not all going to college. As you can see, the average salary per year is around $35,000, $36,000 here in Ohio. So, I mean, you're basically making $4K more, and this is just on average. You could make more. You're basically making around $4K more than the average salary. Never needing to go to college means you don't have student loans you have to pay off. The worst you could have to do is have a $12,000 license. You see, $12,000, it does sound like a lot, but you gotta think about it. This is $12,000. You don't have to go to college, which college, on average, you go for about 4 years, and that can be upwards of $15,000 per year. And you don't ever have to do that to become a truck driver. So this is showing you don't have to stress yourself out to go to college, get good grades, to get a good job, and end up, if you just suck at college, well, there goes your life. You don't get to live, I guess. Now, hope you guys enjoyed that quiet, soothing music, because this next part, not so much. Stress and anxiety. We all have it, we all hate it. Did you know some people have it more than others, though? Did you know that according to the National Institution of Health, who are a pretty big deal, elementary schools often found that standardized testing would cause more stress than just normal tests made by the teachers? Now, I didn't say the quote word for word, but you can see on screen what it said. Now, this doesn't surprise me because if a teacher makes a test, they can tailor it to what their students need because they know what their students need. If their students are really good at this subject but really bad at this subject, they can focus more on this subject to help them out so that way they can be good at everything and all-rounded, do better, but on a standardized test, you don't get that. Now, where does that leave us? We're just gonna go, this sucks, this is a horrible thing, why does it exist, and then just dip out when they ask us, okay, how do we solve this? No. I mean, there's no point on hating on something if you cannot provide an answer, and I think I can provide a few. Firstly, let teachers go at their students' pace. You have to have this much done by midterms, you have to have this much done by the semester. If a kid just physically cannot keep up with that, they're gonna fall behind, they're gonna feel depressed, they're not gonna think they're good enough. And that's just going to make them do worse, because what's the point if you're not good enough? Secondly, if you're going to have standardized testing, don't have it as a one-size-fits-all kind of test. See, in most areas, standardized testing is kind of like this middle ground between the normal academic level and the advanced level, and that's just not fair to anyone, because the advanced kids need to be challenged because, well, they're higher up. They need that challenge or they're not going to grow. And the normal level kids, why are they being punished with their harder test for doing everything right? There's nothing wrong with being at a normal academic level. That is where you're supposed to be. The advanced is just, well, you're doing better than you need to be, and that's good. We're going to excel that. But if I'm at a normal level, even a lower academic level, how am I going to compete with that in those tests? And it's not bad if you're at a lower academic level, because that just means you need some more help, something's not clicking with you, you need some guidance on this, or you need some help in areas like maybe you can't read well, maybe you have some issues speaking. And how is it fair that you're being punished? If you think about it, in this system, everyone's being punished. The advanced kids aren't getting the push they need. Normal level kids aren't getting well, it's just too high for them, and then lower academic level kids, it's far too high for them because they're just not there, and that's okay. You don't need to be the best of the best. C's are average, at least they're supposed to be. Because you don't have all A's, all B's, does not mean you're failing. I hope this video shedded some light on some of the reasons why the system we have in place is not the best we could be doing it. And that's okay, we are improving. I know I've been negative for the past 10 minutes, but things are getting better. Kids are getting smarter because we know how to help people more. I mean, if you go back 50 years, so many things that we do to help kids in school just didn't happen. You were told to get over it. So it is not like we've just been the same forever. We are getting better. We are helping more kids. More kids are doing better because we are improving. And I do think this is the next step to improving. I think we can do this. It's not the easiest process in the world. We can't just go in one day and say, no more standardized testing, perfect system down right now. These answers I've given might not work in practice. They work in theory, maybe not in practice. And maybe we need to tweak stuff. Maybe we try this. This doesn't work, let's try this. And then maybe one day we have a system that's gosh darn near perfect, and kids are doing amazing. That's the goal. We're not doing this school because we want kids to suffer. We're doing this because we want them to excel in life. We want them to do better than we ever could. And if we can get to that point, then the world's going to be so much better because of it.